Number 18, Pittsburgh, 90-57. Cooper Flagg had 22 points and 11 rebounds as number 9, Duke, outscored number 2, Auburn, 84-78.
It's time.
You know what time it is?
The game for Tuscaloosa's longest running sports show.
The biggest goal of our team,
especially in the first half,
we at Bama, we're trying to be the best. Always is to win a national championship.
Something cool to look back on.
We don't want to waste a failure.
You're inside the game.
John Mechie on the ground.
Appreciate your interest in the game.
On your home for Alabama sports.
Alabama wins.
Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. Powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota. Now, here's your award-winning host, Ryan Fowler.
And a big good afternoon to you. Welcome into the game. T-Town Tide at 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide sports. Hey, we're going to dive into a lot of different things. We're going to talk about this championship day. We got a big show lined up for you. We're going to talk with Rodney Orr, TiderInsider.com, 2:15, Rodney Orr, TiderInsider.com. He's going to recap the entire recruiting class and where Alabama finished and maybe his thoughts. You see Alabama, according to some, number 2, according to others, 3. When you look at it, it's pretty much a unanimous top 4, top 5 class. And Kalen DeBoer were able to land some of those big commitments, including, I guess, if you want to look at the top commitment, it was the number 2 overall player. Keelan Russell will be also a part of our show. He's playing for Duncanville High School, and he's trying to what would be his 3rd state championship at the biggest classification. As soon as he gets through with practice, he's going to send me a text, and we're going to work out a time between now and 6 o'clock. As soon as practice is over out in Duncanville, Texas, we're going to talk with Keelan Russell, and we'll dive into that from the quarterback commitment. We'll talk about all his different things and, what's he expected now, because he is, according to Kalen DeBoer yesterday, he held that class together. It was a big part of a lot of these reasons, these offensive guys. You saw even last night when we went off the air at 5:30, Wyatt and I came into the studio and we sat here and waited for Derek Meadows to pop into the conversation. So when you look at Derek Meadows adding to that class, so 21 of those, Alabama releasing my favorite email of the year. It is literally my favorite email of the year because it lays out all the credentials of these 21 players. So we're going to discuss that. We've got Bruce Marshall. He's going to join us coming up at 3:30. So 2:15, Rodney Orr. 3:30, we'll talk to Bruce Marshall. He will predict these championship games from his perspective. We'll talk about, college football. Bruce Marshall. Brad Powers is a guy that has had his best year when you look at predicting. He'll join us at 4 o'clock, a handicap route in Las Vegas. Brad Powers 7 on the Twitter account. So he's going to share some thoughts with us coming up at 4 o'clock. We're going to dive into a lot of different things with him. And then coming up at whatever point Keelan Russell gets done with practice, he's going to jump on and share. I want to go into a little bit of an opening thing. When you look at the confidence level, I'll be honest with you. Jackson, I'm like a roller coaster. I'm having a roller coaster. Like if you ask me 1 minute, I'm very confident that Alabama's in the college football playoffs. You ask me other moments, and I'm going, okay, there's things that I must overanalyze, okay? That's just what we do in the media business. We overanalyze a lot of stuff, right? And today will probably be no different. You have to look at it from a lot of different ways. You must look at it. Keep in mind, these conference championships now have lost value. They've lost value. I don't think they're going to, Jackson's giving me the look like he doesn't agree with me. That's okay. I'll be curious to hear your point. If that is, I'm reading those nonverbals because the eyes told me. I don't think the conference championship means it. I'm not saying that you still don't have an SEC champ. Now, I don't know how you do all the automatic bids and the buys and you wait and all this, but you got to remember, bureaucrats love power. But you know what else they love more than power? Money. And this is a big money maker from an SEC title, from an ACC title. But I also look at it, and if you look at the weekend, and if you think about these upcoming games, I know why you're going to watch it because we have a vested interest. But let's say Alabama was one of those 5 through 8 spots and you already had a bye week. Would you have an interest? Because that's a lot of the world of college football, or the ones like South Carolina, Miami. Do you really? Are you dedicated to watching these games? It'll be one of the final weekends because we're just kind of working our way to January the 20th, and we don't have many more college football games to go. But I also go, am I going to make an appointment to watch some of these, like the Big 12 championship? Iowa State and Arizona State. Am I going to go, hey, I've got to get up at I'm going to be up at 11 o'clock, but do I have to get up, get all the things ready to watch this game? That answer is no. No, but I'm not sure it was last year either. Georgia, Texas, we've already seen that game. We've already seen that game. Watch the ratings of these championship weekends. I don't think they're going to be that big. Penn State, Oregon. Does anybody think that Penn State can beat Oregon in Indy? I don't. Well, that's what our professional handicappers that will be on our show. Penn State, Oregon minus a 3.5. Then you've got Clemson and SMU. SMU. Certainly we're going to be watching that one. That's at 7 o'clock. So all you folks out there chasing Bambi throughout the weekend, because I know you are. You got plenty of reasons. I mean, you can carry the YouTube and YouTube TV it out in the middle of a deer field somewhere in West Alabama, right? I know that's probably my plan for the afternoon. I'll watch Georgia, Texas. But you also look at how this committee will think. Keep in mind, they love money and they love power. And if you send a message, when you look at the ACC championship, if SMU and Rhett Lashley has went all over the circuit talking about if his team loses, could you imagine Nick Saban having a discussion? Because we've been Sabanized for the last 17 years. Saban, it's never okay to lose a game. It's never okay to even talk about losing a game. I mean, you wouldn't even let him do anything of these opponents. And you got a coach out here that's doing a media campaign talking about, well, if we lose, we still deserve a spot in. You know what? I think Clemson's going to beat SMU. And I think that's the mindset. Now you have to discuss, are you going to value these conference championships? Are you going to let an SMU team who has zero, they don't have a win over right now when you look at a top 25 team, look at their resume. When you start, and I know it all changes, but if you start looking at SMU, they're 0-1, and they'd be 0-2 against top 25 teams that are in the current AP. When you look at SMU, do you move them out? Or, because if you move them out of the top 12 and they're not in the college football playoffs, you've just told every other or every coach that conference championship, there's a risk, but there's very little reward unless you're playing for one of those bye weeks and you win it. So, let's say Alabama's playing Georgia. Flip the script a little bit. Flip the script. Put it on Alabama. What if Alabama's playing Georgia? Could we beat Georgia twice? It's hard to beat a team twice. What if we were in that slippery slope of going, you lose, you're out? So you got to put yourself in that mindset. They must add value to the conference championship, and that's the only part that I doubt. Does Alabama deserve to be in? I think they have earned their way. If you look at the resume, nobody has more wins against a top 25 team than the University of Alabama. You got some teams out there that are tied. Oregon has 3. Georgia has 3. Alabama has the head-to-head, but they're 3-1 when you look at against those top 25 teams that are in current top 25 according to the college football playoff. Jackson, talk to me.
Well, we've already seen, based on last year's college football playoff, how they value conference championships. Okay, they left Florida State out, but that was due to quarterback injury. But what did they do to Georgia? They dropped Georgia from number 1 in the country after their first loss in over, 30-something games, and it happened to be a 3-point loss in the title game of the SEC to an Alabama team. Georgia got the 6th spot. 6. They dropped from 1 to 6 for losing their conference championship, and that was one game that they lost, only one, and it was by 3 points, and they dropped them out. So that leads me to believe that and their reasoning was that Georgia's schedule during the season was not very good, and granted, it was not. This is the same situation with SMU, same exact situation.
So I hear you. I hear
and I'm
you.
not saying they're devaluing conference championships, although they have done that with last year's playoffs.
And I don't think how much longer we're going to play these. Rick Neuheisel has made this platform. We played the audio a couple of days ago.
Right.
that these should be play-in games?
And I think that's where they're going to go to. And I think that's what Sankey and I think that's what the Big Ten commissioner is going to do.
And who knows? Those would probably be, in some ways, probably higher ratings than to sit down and watch for Penn State. If you were trying to battle, and in a lot of ways it does outvalue. I still think the SEC title does mean something.
Oh, it means so much.
I'm just asking if it still means the same. And I think that answer is no.
It still means the same to the people in this conference that play in this conference.
And we heard Tyler Booker on the next round a couple of weeks ago talking about going to an SEC title game, that would be of value. All right, we're going to talk to Rodney Orr coming up in a couple of minutes. We are always powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com, 3325 Skyline Boulevard, and online at TuscaloosaToyota.com. The great dealership, the Toyota-thon is on. How about a new Tundra up under that Christmas tree? How about a new Tacoma? You can find some great interest specials, including a $1,000 Christmas holiday bonus cash attached to both the Tacoma and the Tundra. You've got great Camrys, including the lowest 3.99, RAV4 is low as 3.99, the Highlander is low as 5.99. But you've also got some increased months there. You got some lease specials, the service specials. It is Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com. We're going to dive into a lot of different things. Rodney Orr coming up in just a couple of minutes. We'll talk to Bruce Marshall at 3:30. 4 o'clock, we'll talk to Brad Powers. And when Keelan Russell gets out of practice, as he prepares for another state championship run. Now, that's not a championship game this weekend, but in a couple of weeks, they'll have those classifications out in Texas, and he'll be playing, hopefully, if he keeps winning. We'll talk about that with Rodney Orr. We'll talk about that with Keelan Russell. As soon as he gets out of practice, he'll jump on the show. Number 2 overall recruit, signed with the University of Alabama. We'll dive into that coming up with him, and he's a guy that I've got to be excited about, these wide receivers. We'll ask Rodney Orr to share some thoughts in this recruiting class. We'll do that coming up in just a couple of minutes as we take your phone calls. We'll let you chime in. A lot of people have asked me about doing parlay picks. We're going to do that tomorrow. I just feel like tomorrow's the better day. But I'd also love to get you into the game and ask you about this confidence, because polygraph machine on my arm, Scout's honor, cross my heart. I'm a little nervous. I have a little angst. I don't know. I just, that's the part that I don't know what these committee members are going to cover. Now, if they're looking for money, I promise you,
they'll put us in.
Penn State, SMU, you're talking about sleepy games of the conference, so money also drives that conversation too. Penn State, SMU, make an appointment. I mean, I can't wait to watch that.
So you think that if Penn State gets blown out, they could get dropped out?
No. I don't think so. I mean, you think so? 11-2? I
mean,
I think they're there. Now you drop them out. Now we go back to that SMU talk. No. Ward Manuel's the chairman of that committee. No, there's not a no. But I will tell you that those tickets, good tickets. Did you see what tickets are? That'll back up my argument. So, we always talk about SEC being important. So UNLV, Boise State, tickets are as low as $40. So that's in Boise, Idaho, which has a home type atmosphere, right? They're in Albertson Stadium. Then you got the American tickets as low as $26. Iowa State, Arizona State as low as $40 out in Arlington, Texas at Jerry World. And then you got Georgia, Texas, $114 for tickets as low as. Penn State, Oregon as low as $20. $20. $20 would get you the Big Ten championship. Don't you just tell me it means more. You show me that it means more. Clemson, SMU, $42. So Texas, Georgia, higher price value. But you also look at the ticket value. Nobody's going to be winning. Are we welcoming right back into the game? T-Town tied at 100.9, 1230 WTBC. As you call in today, I'll be curious, outside of the SMU-Clemson game, the ACC championship, do you have a lot of interest in this college football weekend? Like, are you going to make an appointment to watch UNLV, Boise State tomorrow evening, 7 o'clock? Tulane Army? No, not really. I mean, we appreciate the Army folks. You guys look really good. 10-1, had a great season, top 25. No. Iowa State, Arizona State? Does that do anything for you? Does that get your blood pressure going? No? Christmas shopping or Iowa State or Arizona State? Georgia, Texas. Deer hunting or Georgia, Texas? Penn State, Oregon? Okay. But everybody's going to be glued in that Clemson SMU game. For ACC, you guys may have the biggest ratings of the entire year. Not too good. Not too good.
Georgia, Texas will eclipse it.
But Georgia, Texas at 3 o'clock, though. Oh, you mean? But I mean, just from an ACC game, there's not a lot of. I mean, do anybody make an appointment to watch ACC football? I mean, it's. I was going to say you're a basketball league, but after last night, not really. Alabama laying it on the Tar Heels.
Duke laid it down.
Thank you, Duke. We appreciate you guys.
We do appreciate you.
Just like Duke was tweeting at Alabama, thank you for beating UNC there at the Dean Smith place. We'll thank Duke for beating Auburn. Thank you, guys. Let's go to Paul in Lincoln. Paul, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well.
Embrace the suck, Ryan. Let's embrace the suck, okay?
Absolutely, we do. And I don't know if we've celebrated enough. Go ahead.
Well, it's SAUCK. That AU stands for the Auburn Tigers. It also stands for losers because they're a bunch of losers. They're a bunch of low-life losers, Ryan.
Fourth consecutive losing season in a row.
The fourth consecutive 7-loss season in a row, Ryan. Think about that. That's 28 losses in 4 seasons, Ryan. 28.
How many years would you have to go back to get 28 losses for Alabama?
Oh, it's
Jackson, there's your project.
That's his assignment. That's Jackson's assignment.
How many losses would you have to go back to get 28 losses by Alabama? Total.
Ryan, think about that. Ryan, seriously.
Auburn's had
think
it
about
4 years.
Think about that. Think about the optics of that. 7 losses, 21, 7 losses, 22, 7 losses, 23, and 7 losses this year. That's hard not to see, Ryan. It's a joke. That's why I tell you there's such an irrelevant program, right? And listen, the media tries to pick that clown program up all the time. Yesterday's headline, AL.com headline was this, and I quote: How Auburn almost flipped the state of Alabama's number 1 player. What an indictment that is. That's the headline, how Auburn almost flipped the number 1 player in the state of Alabama. What an embarrassment, right? I've come up with 2 more catchphrases, right?
Okay. Talk to me.
2 more catch
right.
words, okay? Because we know T-Town Tony, I got to give him credit for the suck because he was
the guy.
He came up with that.
He
was the guy, and I give him all the credit for it. I thank him for letting me borrow it. But how many times since Hugh Hefner, Hunter Freeze has been at Auburn, how many times have we heard him say, we're close, we're almost there? Plenty of times, okay? So why don't we spell close, C-L-A-U-S-E, and almost, A-U-M-O-S-T.
I like it.
What do you think,
I
Ryan?
like it.
You
No,
like
no,
it?
no. I do like it. I do like it. Now, do they?
Can I get T-Town Tony to sign off on those 2?
Well, I mean,
Surely he'll sign.
I mean, if
run
anybody,
that by T-Town
you know,
Tony.
if anybody can find him, I don't know where he is. I mean, we've been
Well, I'm
looking
sure.
for him. I mean,
Listen, he'll come out of the woods for that.
If Alabama doesn't beat Auburn by 28-14, doesn't bring him out of the woods, you think that will?
Well, I don't know. I guess that's just wishful thinking. But right. When is the last time we saw a headline from any media type how Alabama almost flipped this recruit, that recruit? It's non-existent. You know why? Because Alabama's not a wannabe. Alabama's not irrelevant like Lee County. I mean, the lengths that media goes to prop that program up, when you can't prop them up. 28 losses in 4 seasons tells you all you need to know about the bug.
You got to go all the way back to
28
2006
losses.
to find 28 losses. So to add them all up, you got to go back to
Oh, my
2006. Yeah. So
What an embarrassment. What an embarrassing program. I mean, do these people realize who they're pulling for?
and then,
oh my
and then
God.
Hugh yesterday during the press conference, he has a comment that he says.
Oh, yeah.
Some of his continue, Paul. Go ahead. You take it.
No, yeah. Then he tries to sell people. Well, it doesn't take much to sell that fan base because they're starved. They're absolutely starved. But he tries to pull, other coaches says we're using, I've got a health issue. You don't need to go to Auburn. When is the last time you heard anything about Hugh Hefner, Hunter Freeze, even a rumor of him having a health issue? I haven't. I haven't at all.
But he has a look. He has a look that it doesn't.
Yes, exactly. He looks like he's pulled an all-nighter at Innisfree every time I see him. Every time I see him, it looks like he just come off the road, or the wrecking crew just pulled him out of a ditch, But I mean, like I said, the lengths that the media goes to prop that program up it's unbelievable. I mean, they're irrelevant. They're as irrelevant as anybody in the country right now.
Sure.
I mean, they're a joke. 28 losses in 4 seasons. That's an indictment right there.
Yeah, and we will be giving away this year 50-yard line tickets to the bowl game for the Auburn Tigers. So that will be a part of our winning package at some point. This next couple of weeks we'll do that. We'll give away 50-yard line tickets to the bowl game for the Auburn Tigers. And,
yes, tickets are going fast, so you better you better get in there quick.
All right, so
they're going fast.
Here we go, Paul. I got to get to this Fox Sports update, but I want to ask you confident, 0 to 10, your confidence that Alabama's going to be in the college football. 10, I'm very confident. Go ahead and buy your tickets, buy your plane trip, book the room. 0 to 10, where are you in confidence that Alabama's going to make the college football playoffs?
Well, when you're dealing with a bunch of bureaucrats, Ryan, I'm going to say 8.
Ooh, okay. 8. But 8's still confident.
8.
I mean,
8's confident. 8's confident. But when you're dealing with, that's almost like saying I trust Congress to pass this law. That's. But I will say, with Alabama's brand, what they bring to the table, with that gravitas that Alabama has, I think 8's very confident for me.
There you go. There we go. Hey, Paul, appreciate you, man. Have a great rest of your day.
Roll Tide, roll MAGA, 28 losses, you bunch of losers.
Thanks. Paul in Lincoln bringing the smackdown on the Auburn Tigers. I was going to challenge the fan base today, the Alabama fan base, and say something nice about Auburn because Barrett Solis said that, and I really couldn't come up with anything, but I was hoping maybe you guys could help me out a little bit. We'll take your phone calls. Josh in Georgia, get ready. Bruce Marshall at 3. Toyota, Tuscaloosa, Toyota.com, 3325 Scotland Boulevard, and online at Tuscaloosa, Toyota.com. We are loving this college football playoff conversation. We would love for you to jump in. 205-342-9904. 205-342-9904. We have 2 lines available if you want to jump in. We're asking you your confidence, 0 to 10, 0 to 10. 0, nope, Alabama's not going to be in. 10, book the flights, book the hotel. We're in. We don't know where we're going. We could go to South Bend. We could go to Penn State. I think when you look at the college football playoff rankings, I think there's a lot of different spots. When you look at the options, because you could sit here and you could probably even make an argument that Oregon, because Oregon if they lose, Penn State's not going to beat Oregon, but if they happen to drop down, you could see Oregon at 5, right? Alabama could make the trip to Eugene. Alabama could lose. They could make the trip to Austin, Texas. Texas loses to Georgia. Maybe they drop. They could actually drop further than 5 too. Notre Dame, Penn State seems to be the likely. Ohio State would be another option. kind of curious, not just who you want, but in the college football playoffs. Appreciate you guys out there listening. Let's continue. We'll go to Josh in Georgia. Hey, Josh, good afternoon. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. How in the world are you today on this fine Thursday?
Oh, it's a great day. It's a great day, man. I'm having a lot of fun.
Do you want to know why it's a great day?
Talk to me.
Because we still have 361 days to celebrate a state championship and giving the Bugs their 4th losing season in a row.
And how about those 28 losses that only Paul would come up with that?
Only Paul would pull out that kind of a stat. So he is our residential Bug hater and Bug report. I mean, he lives over there in East Alabama. So only he could pull out a stat like that. But I know you had to kind of hurry things through yesterday, but I appreciate you still taking my call. But I am still undefeated in games attended at Bryant-Denny Stadium, and I love it. So over 7 years, I am 12-0 inside of Bryant-Denny Stadium.
Well, we'll have to talk to Kalen DeBoer and Greg Byrne. We're going to have to get you like permanent season tickets somehow, some way.
Well, hey, never mind. I was going to come up with something else, but I ain't going to do it. I mean, I could petition for something, and that's like a dream world scenario. But, I mean, I know Coach Shep is hyping off, but what Coach Cochran used to do, I would love to do. And, yeah. Like, if hype coach was a thing.
And I didn't say a job. I said season tickets. You're asking for a job. I don't know if I could pull that one off.
No. I'm just saying, I like to think, and this is probably, like I said, a dream world scenario. I'd like to think if I could talk to Coach DeBoer and Greg Byrne for about 10 minutes in the same room, I could probably talk myself into a job within 10 minutes. So,
what would
my passion.
Tell me what you would do.
Well, so I would be like, Coach DeBoer, Athletic Director Byrne, nice to see you, nice to meet you. I've been a Bama fan since 2007, right there when Coach Saban started. And really my pride and passion has grown so much I've been accused of taking the Tide over Jesus and the 12 disciples. With that also being said, in games attended since 2017 at Bryant-Denny Stadium, I myself am 12-0. I am undefeated, and I have seen this team, whoop anybody and everybody. I've seen them whoop Ole Miss. I've seen them whoop Vanderbilt. I've seen them whoop Mercer probably twice. I got to see them beat Auburn for the first time in person, and that atmosphere was electric. So I sincerely and humbly ask that if there is a role for me here to fit, because I have been told that if I love the state of Alabama and the University of Alabama so much, I need to move and I need a job. Is there a position open that I could fill?
Okay.
So that's probably something I could do.
Josh, let's go to the college football playoff. When you look at your confidence level, where is it?
I feel about a 6. I'm like, we get in. I don't think you want to play us, and if we get left out, I'm content with giving me a bowl game and let's go get that 10th win and 10-3. Then we turn the page and get ready for next season. But if we get in, here's something, and I know we keep talking about Penn State and Notre Dame. If Penn State loses, and I'm not saying they could, but I mean Oregon's played some really good ball this year. They had a close one in Madison.
Penn State's the. I mean, they are the underdog. So I mean, 3.5 points.
I know, but and it is a neutral site, so that that can make it go either way too. But if Penn State loses, would they not fall possibly out? Would that not be their 3rd loss in the Big Ten? Or is it their 2nd loss in the Big Ten?
No, it would be the 2nd. The only team that they've lost to is Ohio State. But I still think that we've kind of propped up this Big Ten.
We have.
I'm not sure.
Well, you keep saying it.
I don't think this Big Ten,
No, you keep saying it. The College Football Playoff Committee, the fact that they're sitting Big Ten ADs on the committee, and they have financial gain.
Well, okay, you're talking about setting it up. I thought they were setting it up week 1. Trying to prop up the Big Ten.
You're not. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. They are trying to prop up the Big Ten to look like the best conference in college football, but we all know who the best conference in college football is. That is your Southeastern Conference. We may not have the best officials in the country, But as far as competition and games and quality of teams, the Southeastern Conference is the Mac Daddy of them all. And I don't care where we ended up. I mean, if we ended up going to Happy Valley by chance, if we ended up going to South Bend, man, if we ended up going to Indiana as far as IU, I think we could beat any three of those teams. After the performance they put on against Michigan, if we go to Columbus, I think we could beat Ohio State in Columbus. And you can call me talking out of my head or talking out of my rear end, but I am that confident after watching the performance or lack of performance that Ryan Day put on. And I read something today during lunch. So it was just a sports page, but it was sharing something that he had said about he wouldn't have changed nothing as far as coaching decisions that he made in that Michigan game. And he said, if you think there's a better staff and better head coach out there, I'll wait. That made me laugh.
Well, and you also had Urban Meyer had to come out here with a statement that he has no interest in going back to Columbus, Ohio.
Right, yeah. I figured they would try to pull that trick. Oh, we're going to bring back Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer's going to bring us back to our glory days. No. Urban Meyer's perfectly happy on Fox.
Ohio State needs to do some damage in the college football playoffs because this was a championship or bust mentality this year. They spent too much money. I mean, we know that. They picked across our roster multiple times.
Right. Yeah. Here's one reason I'd love to go to Columbus and beat them is just to show Caleb Downs, hey, you should have stayed in Tuscaloosa, pal.
Now, so here we go. Here we go. So you're thinking, that trip to Columbus, I guess, in some ways,
it wouldn't be a bad idea. I think we could beat them. I like our defense. I mean, we might get picked on a little bit, but I do. I'm not going to lie. I think our defense against Will Howard and the Ohio State offense would be a pretty good matchup.
I wouldn't.
So,
I probably
because
would,
they've got a talented freshman. We've got a talented freshman. Let's just see who the best freshman is.
Gotcha.
At receiver.
All right, 0 to 10. 0 to 10. Where's your confidence?
About a 6. Like I said, I'm right there in that middle ground right now. So.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm right there. I'm happy. We get in. I'm happy. We get a way to just get our 10th win. If it is in the playoffs or if it's just a standard bowl game, I'm happy. Right now, we are sitting in a position. I know people's quit on this team. I know people's jumped off the train on this team. I know people's, gotten their, tail in a wad over this team, and people's done this, that, and the other. And I'm not calling any names, but if you're listening, you know who you are. And I'm just saying you shouldn't have jumped off the train. This coach has come down to coach the University of Alabama. In all sincerity, we need to be thankful for him. I know we just come past Thanksgiving. We need to be thankful for him, thankful for his willingness to come down to Tuscaloosa and coach our university, because we've been spoiled for 17 years. I'll admit that. And if anybody should be Sabanized, it should be me. But the fact that he has come down, he has given us a 9-3 season right now, and the fact that, hey, listen to this thing about Jalen Milroe. I'm not going to start quoting all kinds of stats and numbers, but I will say this. Jalen Milroe is 2-0 against LSU. Jalen Milroe is 2-0 against Georgia. Jalen Milroe is 2-0 against Auburn. And those are three big opponents right there when you look at them and the times that we've played them in the last 2 years. And Jalen Milroe is 2-0 against all three of them.
Gotcha. Yep.
So,
well, and I was just sending a stat a couple of minutes ago about SMU that I did not realize, and it's one that kind of grabbed me. 6 of the 8 conference opponents that SMU has played have a record of under 500. Is that? Wow. So that's not just doing it in a league that is weaker. You did it in a league.
They didn't even play the best competition in the ACC.
Yeah. So, I mean, Florida State's a joke. TCU's not much better. TCU's in the Big 12. I'm sorry. I mean, all these conference games.
TCU's in the Big 12. I know all the conferences.
Louisville is a win that's 8-4. I mean, I'm going through their record. Stanford's 3-9. Duke is 9-3. Is that right? 9-3. Yeah. So Duke is there at 9-3. I guess you can hang your hat on those two, Louisville and Duke. Pittsburgh 7-5. Boston College 7-5. Virginia 5-7. California 6-6. Clemson. I don't know. I don't know if that stat's totally. I'd have to go through and add it up. But they're right. I mean, they don't seem to have. When you look at top 25 of the current, 0. They do not have a win against.
Rodney said it. Their strength of schedule's in the 70s, and then ours is 17th. So right there's enough. If the committee truly says, "Hey, we're going off strength of schedule," we're in.
Yeah.
Either way.
Could be.
So,
well, and that's the other part is you don't want to be able to persuade, hey, you want to be able to schedule those quality opponents outside of the league. Right. And that's good for the bureaucrats of college football. Hey, Josh, I got to run, man. I'm going to get 19 after. Thanks, man. We'll continue with more Trip. Get ready. We're coming to you coming up here in just a couple of minutes. We'll take more phone calls. Brad Powers at 4 o'clock. Bruce Marshall coming up in a couple of minutes. As we move on, Rumsey Environmental. It is a one-stop shop serving West Alabama for all of your waste removal needs. When you have to know it's being done right, that's the time to call Rumsey Environmental. 205-248-0002.
I think can win this game. That'd put them at number 12 and that would put them at 11. But I think UNLV gets them tomorrow night.
Bruce Marshall, I appreciate you. Let me throw it back to you. I want you to talk about everything that you're involved in. We know a lot of the great websites, but you've added a lot of responsibility to your name. Talk about them.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Check us out online, VegasInsider.com. Of course, we got all the picks there. We got some NFL tonight. We got college hoops. We got NHL, NBA, college football this weekend, all of it there, VegasInsider.com. Also, you can read my stuff and picks, CBS Sportsline, Sportsline.com, and my new place for picks, but the different twist, winnersandwhiners.com and picksandparlays.com.
It is Bruce Marshall. Bruce, hopefully we're breaking down a college football playoff talk next week. I appreciate you for always being a part of our show, Bruce. Big salute to you, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you. Bruce Marshall helping us out there. We'll continue with more. We're going to try to squeeze in maybe one phone call right here. We'll try to do that. Brad Powers coming up in a couple of minutes. Mark's Mark downtown Northport under that Roll Tide Bridge. If you want to dominate the grill today or any day, it's Mark's Mark from a great ribeye, the high choice, which is the top 10% of choice, pork chops, chicken, salmon swirls, twice baked potatoes. Those are great. Local specialties, many different things for the Christmas gathering. You've got those great pecan Priester pies. You can find those. Key lime pies, great cakes, courtesy Dean's Cakes, which is in Greensboro. You can find them in downtown Northport. And don't forget about that local milk that is produced right here in West Alabama that you can find at Mark's Mark, downtown Northport under that Roll Tide Bridge. Go see our friends in Selma as well since 1978 and over 5 years in downtown Northport. Go see Jacob and our friendly folks. Mark's Mark. We'll continue with more of the game. Always do that at 4 o'clock. NATO is able to get a big win against UNC on the road in Chapel Hill. Alabama taking down the Tar Heels and improving the SEC against the ACC. We're not just a football conference, we're a basketball conference as well. Right now, let's go to Las Vegas, and we go there with Brad Powers. Brad Powers, 7. Last week, he predicted Alabama would win by 2 touchdowns, and they did against the Auburn Tigers. We'll certainly give him credit for there. And we go to Brad Powers, BradPowersSports.com, Brad Powers, 7. Hey, Brad, I hope all is well. Welcome into the game in Tuscaloosa.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, Brad, I want to pick your brain about a lot of different things. Anything grab you from the Iron Bowl, and then we'll certainly move into this weekend's action.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I got the score right, but I got to tell you, I mean, and you can back me up since you guys got an Alabama perspective. It's not like I was overwhelmed with Alabama's performance, even though I cashed a ticket betting on them. Kind of sloppy again, a little uneven. Just basically, wait out Auburn to self-destruct, and in typical Auburn fashion the last couple of years they did. So I didn't necessarily do anything much with Alabama's power rating after the game.
All right. When you look at the college football playoff rankings from Tuesday night, did you agree with it? You think Alabama could work their way into this conversation?
Oh, I think they're in it. I mean, I do a bunch of hits, and Monday morning Alabama was still a slight underdog to even money to make the playoff, and I said best bet on the board right now is Alabama to make the playoff because. I mean, obviously, it's a TV show, and people just are not grasping that. ESPN, ABC, Disney paid a lot of money. I don't think people realize how much. And obviously, they have a deal with the SEC, and they want to protect their brands, their conferences, and there's no bigger brand, at least in college football, the last 13 years than Alabama. So, I mean, I'll say 3 things. Do I think Alabama's going to make the playoff? Yes, I do. Do I think Alabama's one of the 12 best teams in the country? Yes, I do. I mean, in fact, I think they're probably, borderline one of the top 6 teams in the country. Do I think, though, Alabama deserves 100% to be in the playoff this year? No, I don't think that's the case. So, but they always they get an opportunity every week to say we're looking for the 12 best teams or the 12 most deserving teams, and they never say it.
All right. I'm going now to SMU and Clemson, which would make Alabama fans sleep a little better on Saturday evening. SMU Clemson in the ACC championship game over in Charlotte. What do you think?
I think Clemson. I actually think Clemson can win this game outright. I know that might not sound great for Alabama, but again, I think if it's an Alabama-SMU conversation, Alabama's winning that conversation. So Alabama's in, and then the market tells you that. I mean, you got to bet $4 to win $1 just on Alabama to make the playoff now. So
see, I can't even wrap my head because we're asking the audience today how confident you are, and I must tell you, we have not like 0 out of 10, 10 being very confident. Well, I think our highest score is like 7 today. So you're more confident than Alabama fans that they're in the college football playoff.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Again, it's a TV show, folks. They're already in right now. I mean, and obviously SMU's favored, so you got to take that into account. And then if SMU were to lose, I mean, come on, let's get real. SMU, their brand versus Alabama's brand. I mean, last year was a much tougher decision to get Florida State out of there.
All right. I mean, Brad, you're making us feel good. You made us feel good last week with the Iron Bowl. Does SMU beat Clemson straight up? Forget about the points.
No, I think Clemson beats them, honestly. I think there's a lot of pressure on SMU. They haven't played a top 40 opponent since the Louisville game. They played well against Louisville, but it'll be kind of a shock to their system. Clemson's used to playing in this game closer to home. They'll have the crowd edge, and specifically matchup related, I like Clemson's defensive line against SMU's offensive line. So it'll be a bigger sweat for Alabama fan. But again, I still think Alabama's going to make the playoffs when it's all said and done, even if SMU loses.
All right, let's go to Arizona State, Iowa State. Big 12 championship game out in Arlington, Texas.
Yeah, probably a game not getting enough love. It's going to be a good, solid game like a lot of these are, but I think there's a key injury that probably was not getting properly priced in right now. They're starting to see some money in Iowa State, and I agree with that. So Iowa State plus the points for me. The key injury being Arizona State's wide receiver, 1,000-yard guy, and Jordan Tyson. He's out. So that puts more pressure on Arizona State, kind of a one-trick pony now with Cam Skadaboo. Can Iowa State get enough guys in the box? They like to play that stacked 3-3-5 defense. If they commit an extra guy or two to the box, I think they'll be fine to stop Skadaboo, because I don't think Arizona State really has anybody else that would scare me on the outside.
Penn State, Oregon. That one's the Big 12 championship where you can get a Happy Meal and a Big Mac meal for your family for more expensive than tickets. Tickets are peanuts up at Lucas Oil Stadium. Penn State, Oregon minus the 3.5.
Yeah, I like Oregon. Don't lay the 3.5 though. Wait for a 3 to show, because I'm hearing whispers that Penn State's the quote unquote sharp side. I don't agree with it. I think Penn State's defense particularly is overrated. They've only faced 2 top 50 offenses this season. USC put up over 400, and then they couldn't get off the field against Ohio State late. Banged up Ohio State offensive line. I think Oregon, what I saw last week, healthy with Tez Johnson back at wide receiver. I think the Ducks right now my number 1 team in the country as far as the power rating. So Oregon minus the 3.
All right, so Oregon minus the 3. Georgia, Texas. Texas minus the 2.5 in the SEC title game.
Tough one. What Georgia team are we getting? If you guarantee me both teams play their A game, I'm going to take Georgia. You can find a 3. Again, a lot of these spreads are right around that all critical 3. I'm going to lean Georgia. It's tough. They're playing close to home. They'll have the crowd edge. They're used to playing in this facility. I know Texas revenge and all that, but I don't like that their left tackle got banged up last week. I don't like that Quinn Ewers is in 100%. So this seems to me like we'll get all-in effort from Georgia this week. So Georgia for me.
All right. Do you kind of calculate that extra day? Because Georgia Tech played on a Friday evening, and at this point in the season, a day is a day. Especially, it might not be as valuable in September and October. But here at the last part of the season, is that a value?
It's a good question. I think it gets negated by the fact that they played at night and it went to 8 overtimes. So
great point.
I would be looking to play against Georgia if they played last Saturday night, and the game went to 8 overtimes. But they can be thankful that they did play that on a Friday night, because they probably needed an extra day to recover from not only the physicality of that game, because it was physical. I mean, we watched Haynes Kings run at that Georgia defensive front, but also mentally. I mean, I know you didn't run a bunch of plays in the overtimes, but every play, basically, the game was on the line. So, I mean, you play 15, 16 plays in a row where it's either win or lose. I mean, that takes an emotional toll on you.
UNLV, Boise State minus the 4.
Tough game. Winner is in the playoff, believe it or not. Even if UNLV wins, they're in. I'm going to lean with UNLV. A little bit of money showed on Boise today, but I disagree with it. You can find 4.5 now. In fact, you can even find 5. So I'm going to lean with the Rebels.
Really? Okay. How about winning the game outright, though?
I think it's possible to win the game outright. I think UNLV's in much better form the last month than Boise. Boise's been playing tight. UNLV limited Ashton Genty to 3.9 yards per carry, by far his lowest of the season. So I think they're capable of getting some stops there. And this UNLV team's legit. I mean, their only losses were a close one to Boise at home and in overtime against a very good Syracuse teams. And they've beaten Kansas. They've beaten Houston. This is, a team worthy of getting at least that playoff bid from the group of 5.
All right, let's stay in the state of Alabama. Western Kentucky and Jacksonville State. When we look at this game, they're going to be played the Conference USA Championship up at Jacksonville State. Rich Rodriguez, 8-4. Western Kentucky, 8-4. Jacksonville State minus the 5.
I can't bet it because it's a one-factor handicap, and the factor being the health status of Jacksonville State quarterback Tyler Huff. Got banged up last week. These two played last week. Western Kentucky won on a field goal on the final play at home. I think Jacksonville State's a much better team. You told me Huff was going to play at quarterback and he's going to be close to 100%. I think Jacksonville State by far is the play here.
And I still go back. I just looked it up, okay? And we were talking about minus 460 for Alabama to make the college football playoffs. FanDuel has got SMU as a minus 430 to make the playoffs. How would you explain that?
That's a good question. I don't think it's necessarily efficient.
Okay.
Because, it just I don't know that one. Keep in mind, it's not like I can walk in and bet that $40,000. So it's not very liquid. I just saw that too because I was looking at Alabama's current odds. I wanted to make sure I didn't misspeak there. That makes no sense to me. I would be wanting to bet the no on SMU.
Yeah, so it's a plus 300 on the no in Alabama.
Yeah. Because they're just a short. Again, I'm thinking they're in trouble if they lose. Now, this is what's the factor going on? Well, it's the SMU plays Clemson. That's the main game. And right now, SMU is only like minus 125, minus 130 on the money line to win that game. I'm saying if they lose, they're in trouble. So I don't understand why they're that big of a favorite to make it. Why both teams are. That's not adding up.
Yeah. But, Brad, the other part of it is when you look at these conference championships, if you tell, because these college football conferences, they make a lot of money on all these championships. If you tell SMU, hey, you went to the ACC championship game, but you still don't have a win against a top 25 team. I mean, that's the part that when you look at it right now, they don't have a win against the current top 25 teams. Alabama has 3 of them. Nobody else has more teams. Wins against top 25 teams in the current top 25 according to the college football playoffs than Alabama. Oregon has the same, but Alabama has, nobody has more.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a dangerous precedent they would set if they eliminated SMU. So I still don't think that prevents them from doing it because again, it's Alabama. But it would be an extremely where people are just going to say, hey, do we even want to play in our conference championship game? If we're in 1 week, we lose the extra data point that the other team doesn't have that extra data point. I mean, why even play this game? So that's going to raise a lot of questions there. And, I agree with you. I mean, look, whatever metric you use, Alabama's played a much tougher schedule than SMU. And on a neutral field, I mean, Alabama's going to be favored over SMU. I do think, I think Alabama deserves to be a monster favorite to make the playoff? No, again, I mean, don't lose by 3 touchdowns to Oklahoma 2 weeks ago. A mediocre Oklahoma team, and they proved that when they played LSU the next week. So, but again, life's not fair. And Alabama's a brand, one of the brands in college football. SMU's not. So it's story of life.
Could you imagine kicking off college football in South Bend, Indiana with Notre Dame and Alabama?
That's what they want. They want that game badly to kick it off on a Friday night, unopposed to any other thing going on. That's what they want. That's worth, that game in itself is worth several million.
Yeah, and so that's the conversation. And hey, we'll break it down next week. BradPowerSports.com, BradPowerSports.com, Brad Power 7. He does the NFL. He does college football. He's had a great year. Brad Power 7 on the Twitter account. Hey, Brad, I appreciate you, and thank you for giving a little boost of confidence here in Tuscaloosa, man. Thank you.
Yep, and I want it on record when it's Notre Dame, Alabama. Don't be surprised if Notre Dame's a favorite. And by favorite, I actually think there's a chance they're more than a field goal favorite in that game. Okay. That'll surprise Alabama fan.
Yep. Okay, and we'll break it down. I mean, because we'll have the lines at that point. And Brad always puts these out on Twitter if you're following on Sunday. So once we see the matchup, he'll start tweeting out some of these lines. And Brad, I appreciate you, man. We'll break it down next week. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you. Brad Power 7 on the Twitter account, BradPowerSports.com. Robert in Brookwood, I believe Jim's going to be coming up as well. Robert's been waiting for about an hour. We'll get Robert in. All right, we have 2 lines available. You've heard 2 back-to-back handicappers. And we also have Keelan Russell at some point when he gets finished with practice. We will feature him, the number 2 overall player who signed with Alabama yesterday, doing some great charity work out in high school football. Can you believe that? A high school 5-star getting involved with charity work. We're going to talk about that with him, and we'll talk about Ryan Williams popping on his IG Live. That was pretty awesome. Gives a little boost of Alabama fans there. We'll talk with him at some point. Steak, chicken, shrimp, potato soup, a bowl or a cup. Go down and see Brad and all those great folks down in downtown Moundville. If you're looking for a great steak, the ribeye voted by the Alabama Cattlemen's Association as the best steak in the state of Alabama. Big Mike's, downtown Moundville, about 15 minutes from where I'm located. You can find them at Orange Beach. You can find them in Gunnersville, Alabama, Andalusia, Thomasville, Alabama. Auburn, you guys can be proud of something. You got a Big Mike's over there. Big Mike's Steakhouse. Great place to go and get a great meal at Big Mike's Steakhouse. Let's continue with more phone calls. 205-342-9904. Robert Brookwood. Robert, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well.
Hey, brother. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. Looking at some high school football right now. Mars Hill won 2A state championship, or 3A a while ago, and now Maplesville and Watley's playing, and then the Cole game will be after 7:30, the 5A. So Cole Knight will be playing high school football there in Birmingham.
Yeah, at the stadium there. Also, Thompson able to pick up the championship late. Well, not late.
Why did they move it? You got a knowledge. You know a lot of stuff. Why did they move it to Birmingham, not rotate it back and forth between Tuscaloosa and Auburn like they were doing?
College football playoff possibility for host sites.
Oh.
Gotcha. I mean, Auburn, you guys don't have to worry about this, so you guys can.
Oh, Lord. Well, we wouldn't have had to worry about it anyway because it would have been this weekend and this is the SEC 10. Yeah, that's why I was just curious.
I think it's just simply trying to save because, I thought our fields looked great this year, by the way. They really and really a lot of improvement from the year prior because
well, that's a good point. You start playing all these games, it could be warmer weather and rain, and then you got a game the next week.
Because you're not just playing one game; you're playing 7.
Yeah, it would. You're right. Because you can already tell each of the Birmingham field's kind of. Well, I don't know if that's real grass or not. It looks like real grass, so I don't. It looks like it's already kind of trampled down a little bit.
Yeah, and so Alabama being, I guess if you were artificial, it wouldn't be a problem. But if you're, artificial, you take a lot of injuries. Probably save some money on there, but you probably spend more money on surgeries with those artificial. But
let me ask you a quick question, Ryan. What you said something earlier. We probably need Georgia to win. That's hard to root for Georgia because they get on a roll and they win 3 out of the last 4 national championships. You know how those folks are. So do we root for Georgia?
Well, I think it helps your resume. It makes it easier on the committee if you beat Georgia here, And if you've got a win over the SEC title, now the SEC champ, you've got to win over the SEC champ. I think it adds to the value.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's easier because Texas has already lost to Georgia.
Well, your last guest just brought up some good points. The tough schedule that Georgia had, and really Texas was handed an easy schedule.
Yeah, the SEC, I hope we don't continue to cater to the Longhorns. I mean, I know they love to be able to put the money out there and make sure that we take care of them. But also Georgia is going to do us a favor. We need them to smack Texas in the mouth. Because I'd rather have Georgia ego. We can handle Georgia's ego because we can just point to September the 28th and say, look at there. Texas, they're already trying to be the king of the SEC.
Yeah, good point.
That's just my opinion. I mean, Robert, do you want to have Digger calling this show?
Yeah, we can't have Texas win their first year.
Twice a week. I mean, we hadn't heard from him in a while.
What would be great was for Texas to lose to Georgia and then lose their playoff game, just already be out of it.
So Georgia,
you got folks saying you don't know if Alabama deserves to be in. I mean, that's debatable. They bring name, they bring prestige. The thing is, I'm not happy that we had 3 losses. If you'd have told me back in August that we'd have went 10-3, we all would have took it. But it's the losses we had that bothered us. I would have thought it might have been Georgia, Tennessee, LSU. But it turned out to be just Tennessee and then to lowly, well, I ain't going to say lowly Vanderbilt, but average Vanderbilt and average Oklahoma. I think that's the 3 losses that bothers. But I think we would took 10-3 in the playoffs because every year in August, that's what we want to do is make the playoffs. So for people to say, well, we don't deserve to be in or we shouldn't make the playoffs, the thing is that's what you want to do. And when you get there, so what if you're done in one game? At least you made it. And you can say that to other schools. What were they doing? They all could say, oh, you lost the first game. But at least we was in there. I mean, it's not the way we should look at it. That's the goal, to make the playoffs, and you go from there. It's a new season.
So here we are. Are
you 100% confident that we're going to be in regardless of what?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I look at it. I mean, we've had 2 handicappers that do not wear an Alabama jersey. 0. Bruce Marshall, Brad Powers. Bruce Marshall, Brad Powers. Both of them. I mean, did you hear the confidence?
Yeah. They were pretty sure.
Robert, that actually in some ways scares me.
Why was that?
Well, I mean, confidence. I mean, there is no sure bet.
Oh, well.
And I mean, I started going through these numbers and I look, okay, so Alabama's a minus 460. So you'd have to lay $460 to win $100. On the flip side of that, if you said, no, Alabama's not going to be in the college football playoffs, you'd have to, you could put up 100 and you'd win 320.
Yeah.
So in other words, Vegas knows. I mean, and you heard that right there.
Well, I don't think SMU, nothing against SMU. I just think the ACC was weak this year. I think Alabama will win or lose. Well, not win, but lose. Alabama would still be higher than SMU. Clemson, they'll probably get in. They're kind of like Alabama recognition name, but I just think 11 was a good spot. I'd rather been higher, of course, but 11's better than 12, don't you think?
I think 11 is, because 12 could get you knocked out. That's why Miami's nervous. That's why you see Mark Cristobal do some media interviews. Because 12, here's the problem with 12. Arizona State and Iowa State both rank beyond 12. Whoever wins that game is automatic. They're in the college football playoffs. So 12 goes from 12 to you're out of the playoffs. Thanks for playing. Have a good day. That's why Miami's going, oh, man, are you kidding?
So the next debatable one is you need SMU to beat Clemson, right? Or is it going to matter?
Well,
that's where I'm confused.
Okay, well, Robert, most of us are. When you talk to people, we've had 3 guests on today, and all 3 have said, yes, they think Alabama's in. We had 2 or 3 on yesterday from a national perspective, and both of them said the same thing. I'm just not as confident because I look at it and go, okay, if you put if Clemson beats SMU, that happens there. If SMU beats Clemson, then we sleep good on Saturday night. If Clemson beats SMU, you're still going to be sweating it out to 11:15 on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing that your college football selection committee is going to tell them. You're telling them that conference championships really don't matter as much. And Rhett Lashley is obviously nervous because, he's out here talking about the possibility of a loss. And to lose this game, could you imagine Nick Saban out here
to me, Ryan, SMU is nothing more than TCU 2 years ago.
Yeah. So
to me, that's SMU. Real quick question: recruiting overall, you give it an A or a B?
It's a number 2 overall class according to On3.
Well, I'm a little worried about defensive line. We only got one recruit. We're going to hit the portal on that.
You're going to have to. Everybody's worried about the defensive line. Everybody. Everybody. Defensive line
is like Georgia's racking up on defensive linemen, so
they always do. Defensive line is a question. You may have to go to the portal, and you may have to get some guys that you coach up. We'll see. But defensive line, you fulfilled some needs on the offensive side of the football.
Yes, we got a receiver. Just one, or we got 2. That one Brooks. Did he wind up signing or?
Tell you what, why don't I do this in the next couple of minutes? So you had Derek Meadows, who you were talking about, right? Derek Meadows, the big 6'6".
Well, but we also had the one from New Jersey or something supposed to be pretty good. But as of yesterday evening, I didn't know if he had signed yet.
Yeah,
I didn't know if he was waiting.
No, Derek Meadows is the guy I think you're talking about, 530. But I want to run through, because I think it's valuable to go back through the 21 players. Okay, it's my favorite email the entire year. Is this email that Alabama sends out, okay? So, and this is a quick summary, and I'll do it as quick as I can. California, you had 7 players from the state of California, 3 from Georgia, 2 from Alabama, 2 from Florida, 2 from Mississippi, 1 from Nevada, 1 from Jersey, 1 from Ohio, 1 from Texas, along with 1 Canadian. You had 4 offensive linemen, 4 linebackers, 3 defensive backs, and then my screen just moved for just a couple of seconds there. 3 defensive linemen, 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers, 1 punter, 1 quarterback, 1 running back. 4 signees are at least 5-star prospects. Michael Carroll, Dijon Lee, Jackson Lloyd, Keelan Russell, which we're going to feature. 15 of those are 4-star prospects by multiple different publications. 247, 247 Composite, On3 Consensus, On3 Consensus, Rivals.com, and or ESPN. 14 newcomers that were anyway, you go through and you start looking at these different guys. Yes, it is a big-time class. Because remember what they told you, Robert. They said Kalen DeBoer was not going to be able to recruit.
Yeah.
He had the number 2 overall class.
Well, you can consistently be number 1 like Georgia fans brag, but you got to coach them up. You've said that for years. We've had several number 1, 4 or 5 years of number 1s. That, only maybe 1 or 2 national championship, which is great. But you want to stay in the top 4, I think, if you want to stay consistent.
Look at the newcomers, the young players who played on this football team. When people ask me about this coaching staff, I look and I go, Zabian Brown.
Yeah.
Bray Hubbard. Look at playing not just roles, but very crucial roles. That's all I need to know.
Is Lawson is he going to be back next year? That one that got hurt is out for the year, the linebacker? Was he a senior?
Yeah, no, he's still got a year of eligibility. So,
good. Well, good.
Yep.
Well, looking forward to next year. It's going to be a tough road schedule, but I'm already saying this, and I'll shut up and get somebody else on. I call next year the revenge tour. I don't care if we go but 3 or 9, but Vandy, Tennessee, and Oklahoma, they got some beatdowns coming. I want double digits. In fact, I want all 3 of them. We're up 42-7, 1 second to go, and he don't score. He needs to be fired. That's how bad I want to beat them 3. The revenge tour.
Got it. Yep, roll tide, man.
Have a good one, brother.
Thank you. But I think when you look at fulfilling needs, Daryl Duke Johnson, linebacker, Dijon Lee, defensive back, Jackson Lloyd, offensive line. You go through the list. Chuck McDonald down at Modern Day, which plays big time, one of the top programs in the entire country. Luke Metz, which we featured yesterday. Derek Meadows, 6'5", 200-pound, out of Bishop Gorman there in Las Vegas. You go through the list. Marshall Pritchett. By the way, Alabama did something pretty cool with those billboards. I thought that was unique. For those who didn't see it, all the billboards went to these these towns Simon, I'm going to bring you in just a second right here. But Marshall Pritchett, Rayburn, Georgia, 6'5", 211-pound tight end, ranked as, top 15 guy when you look at his position. But Simon, come into the show. You got something to say right there, and then we're going to move right on to other phone calls. Jared in Houston, Texas.
Yeah, this isn't about recruiting, but you were talking about it earlier. But if SMU loses, are they in or out? I think you sort of, if you want to keep conference title games, you sort of have to leave them in. You can't set that precedent that you can make the conference title game.
But you
be
also
in the
have to send a message that you must play quality opponents.
Yes, I agree, but I don't. But it's the precedent's already there. But yeah.
So you think it would send a message?
Because I agree with you on that. But if you want to keep conference title games around, which seems as it's one of the last kind of traditions we have as the sport kind of evolves, I think you have to leave SMU in if they lose. If that's what you want to do, if you want to set that precedent. But if
I
that
think
doesn't
these conference
matter,
titles are Martin just sent me a message. I mean, he played in the first one back in 1992 at Legion Field. We had a risk there because if Alabama would have lost, they would have not played for a national title, and they end up winning that national title. I think conference championships, I think at some point you're going to eliminate these because you got too many coaches that are going, well, why do you need to play this game? I love what Rick Neuheisel said. Make it a play-in game. South Carolina, Alabama, Ole Miss, South Carolina. I mean, if you feel like Alabama's already in, let somebody – because you're going to 14 to 16. You don't know the way you're going there. Make that a play-in game. Could you imagine the ratings? Because this weekend, we talked about this earlier, when you look at these games, there is some that you're going to watch. Obviously, SMU Clemson will break local ratings, but then you look at these other games – you're going to sit here and you're going to go, oh, man, I can't wait to see Iowa State and Arizona State 11 o'clock. Christmas shopping or the Big 12 championship?
Christmas shopping.
Christmas shopping or Oregon or Penn State?
Oregon, Penn State.
Okay. Clemson, SMU, yeah, you're going to watch that one. Georgia, Texas. I mean,
Georgia, Texas, yep.
But it's.
But they've already set the precedent from last year's playoffs and previous playoffs by leaving out people who lost their conference championship or even won their conference championship and still didn't get in. So it's not. It's the precedent's
already
there.
Sending the message. I think they deep down inside know that these conference titles are not going. I don't think they're going to be around because I don't think they offer the same value. Is winning the SEC? You're still going to award the SEC. You're still going to award the Big Ten. All right, let's go break. Jared in Houston, Texas jumps in. Coming up next, we'll take your phone calls, 205-342-9904. We'll go back-to-back with Jared. Jared in Houston, Jared in Dallas, Texas, Marty in Arkansas, Joseph, Tony in Tuscaloosa, many others. You're listening to Tuscaloosa's longest-running sports show. We'll be during the break because he was texting me a couple things. I appreciate him. But, I mean, we were sitting here talking, and we'll get Jared in here as well. But you look at You think about Clemson this weekend. Okay, this weekend they're at 17. They're a 9-3 football team. 9-3. Now listen, Alabama's 9-3, but we're talking about backdoor 11, 12, 10 maybe. Probably not going to be. I think they're right at 11. I don't know if they move up or down. But Clemson could go from 9-3 to a first-round bye game. UNLV beats Boise State. UNLV beats Boise State. Clemson goes from 17-4 by beating an SMU team that we go, oh, really? I mean, think about the mathematical side of this. I mean, you sit here and your head rattles. I mean, Iowa State could beat Arizona State from a 16 and go to a 4. Iowa State, anybody scared of Iowa State? Raise your hand now or forever hold your peace. Jared, Houston, Texas. Jared, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Good afternoon, Ryan. What's happening, my friend?
We're just arguing about college football playoffs. Nothing big, nothing crazy.
Well, that's the reason I called. I'm interested in it too.
I mean, your head hurts when you start thinking about this. Why can we just not go the 12 best teams?
Well, look, and that's what I think. Here's why I thought. I think these rules committee that made up these rules about this college football playoff has egg on their face because they didn't think they'd have 3 lost conference champions. They figured, Clemson will run the table in the ACC. Somebody will go undefeated in the SEC. Somebody will go undefeated in the Big Ten. We'll have 4 guys supposed to be there. And now that they've got all these 9-3 teams and these teams with multiple losses that are playing for conference championships, they're like, okay, we've got to pivot. We have to put who we truly think are the best 12 teams, and we got to forget about deserving, because at the end of the day, are there 12 teams in the country that are better that they could, if you line them up and play them 12 weeks in a row, that all 12 of them would beat Alabama? The answer is no. There's not 12 that exist. So all these people that are talking about, oh, Alabama doesn't deserve to be in there, that ain't about deserving. It's about the 12 best teams in college football. And there's not 12 that are better than Alabama. You can't convince me that if we play a schedule of the top, say we play the top 11 and then the one right below us, the top teams, ranked in the country. You can't tell me that all these teams are going to run the table on Alabama. They're just not going to do it. There's not 12 football teams that are better. And my confidence is really high about this because I use this as kind of a meter to determine whether or not Alabama gets in. And I use the Danny Cannell meter. And his frustration and his whining and crying and his tweets are at a level that we've never seen before. So when you see Danny Cannell's panties in a wad like they are right now, that tells me I'm confident, because he's pissed, and he's, the SEC Big Ten Invitational and all this whining and crying that he has. I think the commissioner, the college football playoff guys the other night told us Alabama's right where they're at. They're not moving. Yeah. And they spelled the case out with Miami.
Well, okay, to go back to the point that you just made, you could also say about this, not Danny Cannell, you could also say from Rhett Lashley.
Oh, yeah.
He's out here on a loser. Listen, I covered Nick Saban for 17 years. I could never imagine Nick Saban coming out here and guys, well, listen, if we lose the game, lose the game. And I'm sitting there going, huh?
You've already lost, dude. You've already lost.
That's why I think
that guy has already lost.
I think he knows it. I think Clemson's going to win the game. Now, I'd love for SMU, Clemson, and I could sleep better.
There's going to be a lot of scoring in that. There's going to be a lot of scoring in that game, but Clemson's going to win that football game. SMU has not lined up against as physical a squad as Clemson, and they're not world beaters, but they're a solid football team, and they're very physical. And that they haven't played anybody that has been as physical a team as they're going to see with Clemson. And SMU's a good football team. I'm not taking away from anything they've done. They've had a great year, but if you want to play with the big boys, you have to be able to beat the big boys. And so far, I haven't seen you been able to beat any of them. And so, cry all you want, SMU and Danny Cannell and all you other media people out there that are Alabama haters. Cry all you want, but then turn around and tell me that there's 12 teams in the country that are better. And then they might be able to rattle off a bunch of them, but they truly deep down don't believe it because they know it. Danny Cannell puts his top 15 out every week or whatever, his top 12 every week, and it's a joke.
I read one from Tim Brando earlier today.
Tim Brando's another one.
Tim Brando, let me see if I've read this right.
I can't read Tim Brando's because he's blocked me, and that means I'm a true Alabama fan if I've been blocked by Tim Brando. Okay.
Well, I guess maybe I'll lose my fan card because, he's out here. He's talking.
You're a media guy.
Well, but you look at, he goes into this brand. What's fundamentally wrong is never-ending brand bias that moves the line of thinking. Hey, Timmy, Alabama wasn't given their brand. They earned that brand.
They earned it. That's right. That's exactly right. By beating the brains out of everybody they played for 17 years. And many years before that. Not just Nick Saban's tenure. We had other good other good teams, with Stallings, with Coach Bear Bryant. We've had good football teams for decades. And so, the Alabama brand is the Alabama brand, and they're just mad because whoever they follow isn't the same. And but I think the rules committee that made these rules, that put these conference championships at the top of the heap and said, you win your conference, you're going to be 1 through 4 seed. I think they've got egg on their face right now because with their NIL and their transfer portal, they've created so much parity in football that they didn't realize how much parity they really created. And so now they've got this situation where they got a bunch of multi-loss teams playing for conference championships that they know deep down inside aren't better football teams. Arizona State, Iowa State aren't better football teams than Alabama. They're good teams, but they can't beat Alabama. SMU, Clemson are good football teams, but they're not going to beat Alabama. And I would argue Indiana, probably Penn State, Notre Dame. There's several teams up there that I think Alabama's far superior to. Yeah. We already beat Georgia. I think we can play with Texas and probably beat them too. So, I think the rules committee may have to revisit these rules because I'm not sure that they thought this through with all the things they were trying to accomplish first. The playoff came because of Alabama, because nobody could beat them. But the BCS, they couldn't rig the computers enough to get Alabama out. Then they tried the 4 team, that didn't work.
Great point.
And then the 12 team,
great point.
They still can't get them out. So first they wanted to create a playoff to keep Alabama out. Now they've got rules that put them in a trick bag and say, well, I can't say that a 9-3 so and so is better than a 9-3 Alabama because they're not, or even a 2-loss team. So they've created this thing, and now they got to figure out how to fix it because all of the transfer. Then the second wave of killing Alabama was NIL and transfer portal. So they've got all that done now, and they've created so much parity in football that they didn't realize there weren't going to be 4 undefeated teams in their conference.
Yeah.
Is what they're hoping for. But that didn't work out that way. And so now they're thinking, okay, well, we truly have to go by the 12 best teams, and Alabama's one of those 12.
Yeah, and you had Brad Powers said a while ago that he thinks they're one of the best 6. So, hey, Jerry.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Who did Brad Powers pick this week? I didn't get to hear him.
He said he thinks Clemson's going to win, but he still likes Alabama in. I mean, he said it was. That's what's scaring me is they keep calling it a done deal, and that's
just follow the money, Ryan. Look,
I know, I get it.
These places out in Vegas, like you've said many times, they didn't build these places off of winners. If you got to lay $460 to win 100, but the obverse of that is you get $360 if you take the dog. So just because you have to lay $460 to win 100 doesn't mean that it's a sucker bet that you're going to lose. The reason you got to pay that price is because it's a high probability that they're in. On the other side, if you take Alabama not to get in, you get paid $360 on 100. So they've got $360 risk on every 100 they take on that.
Yeah, good point.
It's not just a one-sided thing. The whole when the buying public says, okay, we're all going to bet on SMU this week, that's bad. That means SMU is not going to cover.
I got to run.
They got on both sides.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you. Hope you
roll tide.
Right back to you. 205-342-9904. Jared in Dallas, get ready. We're coming to you next. T-Town Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
There'll be parties for hosting, marshmallows for toasting, and caroling out in the snow. There'll be scary ghost stories and tales of the glories of
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We're currently experiencing right now a 6-minute delay going northbound or Lurleen B. Wallace Boulevard from 15th Street to McFarland Boulevard. A 2-minute delay from going southbound on Lurleen B. Wallace Boulevard from McFarland Boulevard to 15th Street. We're experiencing about a 2-minute delay there. And going northbound on Highway 69 from McFarland Boulevard to Midler.
It's the year-end clearance sale at Townsend Nissan going on now. You can save thousands. See BJ or Kylan today at Townsend Nissan, your savings place.
Don Wallace CPA, 527 Main Avenue in downtown Northport. Small business and personal income taxes, payroll, sales tax needs. They can also help you with nonprofit or church accounting or auditing. In business since 1999, they work for you, not the IRS. When you take on taxes, you got to have someone on your side. It's Don Wallace CPA.
Focus 50 Plus is holding a donation drive for items to help seniors enjoy the holiday season. Log on to focus50plus.org.
Do you have timberland you don't know what to do with? Give North River Timber Company a call. Call Courtney White and his team of over 20 years experience in West Alabama and East Mississippi. Offer timber harvesting programs, timber appraisals, comprehensive management plans as a registered forester in Alabama. Courtney and his team can help you decide how to maximize the highest potential for your land. Courtney says timber is like money in the bank. See what your investment can do for you. Contact Courtney White at 205-242-5127, 205-242-5127, or North River Timber Company.
Or visit mezwins.com. I've got this.
No representations made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Pat's Florist Gourmet Baskets, 1010 Queen City Avenue. We call that doghouse prevention. If you're celebrating that special love
to enjoy. There are also other great sponsorship opportunities. You can learn more at NorthportBunnyTrail.com. That's NorthportBunnyTrail.com.
Nuke's Eatery there on University Boulevard, 205 University Boulevard, 205-758-2455. If you're looking for a great sandwich, you're looking for a salad, California-style pizza, go see Joel Bromfield, 205 University Boulevard, close enough that you can smell the...
Important to let this moment pass us by.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Don Wallace CPA, 527 Main Avenue in downtown Northport. Small business and personal income taxes, payroll, sales tax needs. They can also help you with nonprofit or church accounting or auditing. In business since 1999, they work for you, not the IRS. When you take on taxes, you got to have someone on your side. It's Don Wallace CPA.
With your free insurance benefits check and see your eligibility for coverage in minutes at TryLifeMD.com. That's TryLifeMD.com.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Dan Beyer.
A report from Inside Carolina of 27 Sports says that Bill Belichick is interviewed for the job at the University of North Carolina. Tulane's John Summerall and Georgia defensive coordinator Glenn Schumann have also spoken with the Tar Heels about the position. But the report said that Belichick and the school made contact on Sunday, and at some point an interview took place for the former Patriots head coach. Week 14 of the NFL season starts with the Packers and Lions tonight in Detroit. It's 8:15 Eastern time. The Bills are in L.A. to face the Rams on Sunday, and Buffalo could be getting a couple of targets back for Josh Allen. Both Keon Coleman and tight end Dalton Kincaid were limited in practice today. Coleman's been dealing with a wrist injury. Kincaid's been missing time because of a knee issue. Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase limited in practice with an ankle injury. The A's and pitcher Luis Severino have agreed on a 3-year deal worth $67 million, the most guaranteed money given to a player by the organization.
Rolling down a backwoods Tennessee byway, one arm on the wheel, holding my lover with the other, a sweet, soft southern thrill. Worked hard all week, got a little jingle on a Tennessee Saturday night. Couldn't feel better, I'm together with my Dixieland tonight.
It's the 5 o'clock
Spend
song.
my dollar.
Here we go.
Parked in a holler neath the mountain.
You know why they dislike us? You know why we could be in the college football playoffs? Because brands do matter. And this is why they matter. 18 national titles. 30 SEC titles, 147 first-team All-Americans, 77 postseason appearances. We know that number will go up. 45 postseason victories. We hope that number will go up. 4 Heisman winners. We don't think that number will go up, and we highly doubt it. I would take the other side. NCAA all-time scoring leader and the greatest football coaches to ever walk the sidelines. We're talking about the possibility of Alabama getting in the college football playoffs. We have all day. We had Brad Powers earlier, Bruce Marshall, both of them sound very confident. We had Rodney Orr to break down the number 2 overall recruiting class according to On3. And we have talked about it. Man, we are getting a lot of tweets, a lot of messages. Appreciate you guys out there listening. We're always powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com, 3325 Skyline Boulevard, and online at TuscaloosaToyota.com. A 2025 Camry as low as 3.99 APR. And did you know that the 2025 Camry is averaging over 50 miles per gallon on the highway? See the dealer for complete details. How about a Corolla? How about a RAV4? How about a Highlander? How about a Tundra, Tacoma, 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive? It is Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com. We have spent a lot of time looking at this college football playoff game, and we are also going to talk with Keelan Russell, hopefully this hour. He's going to get out of practice. He's preparing for what would be a 3rd state championship, number 2 overall player in the entire country. He's going to join us coming up. And if we're not able to get him in this 5 o'clock hour, Jackson and I will record it after the show and we'll play it tomorrow. So, because tomorrow is not a possibility because he's playing for a high school, not a championship. He's in the semifinals. So, I believe they're playing, Bridgeland Bears, which is, hey, we'll keep our eye there. Let's go to Tony in Tuscaloosa. Is this Tony? Tony?
You know the brand.
It took you to Thursday to call to celebrate a victory over the Bugs?
Look, man, I was calling yesterday, but, we had to go ahead and call someone else our biatch, but in basketball. North Carolina, welcome. Welcome to what the rest of the SEC knows. Welcome.
Tide.
Blue blood.
I did see Alabama kind of trolling that blue blood logo last night.
I mean, look, when you run off, 4 in a row in 4 years or something like that? I mean, what else can you call them? They're our Vandy in basketball, except we lost the Vandy this year. But never mind. I digress. How are you, my friend?
I'm good.
Should I explain myself why I was kind of what the problem was?
Okay. Yes.
Do I need to let everyone out there know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can tell us that you've
this year has been tough on me legally. Metropolitan Police Department in Nashville, they didn't treat me too nice. Knoxville, they didn't treat me very nice there either.
Did you have an Alabama shirt on in the Knoxville jail?
I had my Tuscaloosa nut hammock on, banana hammock. That's right. Said "Roll Tide, roll" on the back. That wasn't pretty. But let me tell you something. Who would have ever thought that people in the city of Tuscaloosa frowned upon me publicly administering thumpkins to the booger elderly after the game? I didn't see that coming. But you know who did? Beat 'em and cheat 'em and Hal. And I'm going to tell you, I want to thank them again. Beat 'em and cheat 'em and Hal. Hey, they've earned their money this year.
Hey, been some frustration, but I mean, here we are. If I would have told you on January the 10th, when Nick Saban retired at 4:03 in the afternoon and I was on the air with John McClain from the Houston Chronicle, that Alabama would have a coach that could navigate this season, have a recruiting class that's number 2, and have a shot at the college football playoffs and beat Georgia at home. Yeah, they lost some games they probably shouldn't have lost. Would you have taken it?
Only if we're in the playoff.
Okay. So the committee's going to decide.
Because this team, if they'd have kept Coach Saban, would have been probably preseason number 1 or number 2. I mean, let's just face it. It would have been. But our coach walked out on his team. And I'll be, that's the honest answer of what happened. He walked out on his team. And some of the players walked out too. I don't blame the players. I do blame the coach. But he walked out, and I think Kalen DeBoer took a job, quite frankly, that a lot of people didn't have the nuts to take in college football.
Glory. I mean, that's the part. That's the part.
And he came in here and he took it on within, 48 hours of our coach walking out. And he took it on and scrambling for coaches and scrambling for players when the portal was dead. You know, we had just what was it, 2 weeks or something like that to try to maintain the recruiting class and everything like that. I mean, it's a remarkable job that they've done. In a year of SEC chaos. Remarkable. And
loses his offensive coordinator and offensive line coach, a week before, 2 weeks prior to spring practice?
It's, yeah. I mean, you bring in the guy, next thing you know, they're going to the NFL right before. It's a remarkable job he's done. Holding it together, because we've seen it. It came really close to spiraling out of control after Vandy, right?
Oh, yeah.
It came really close to spiraling out of control after Tennessee. The one thing that I noticed, though, it didn't come close to spiraling out of control besides the fan base after Oklahoma. The players, the other two losses, you had concerns. We lost that game, and we're like, us as fans, we're doubting. We don't know what to do. We don't know what we're going to get out of this team. This team responded like champions respond, and they applied the thumpkin to a football team that tried to refuse the thumpkin, and there was nothing they could do about it. They could throw footballs at us after the game. They can block us into the sidelines illegally. And by the way, the SEC didn't take too kindly to us giving Auburn the thumpkin either. But you know what? Those officials embrace the suck.
Ooh, Tony bringing it back for the Alabama and Auburn week.
Embrace the suck, SEC. Just like Auburn's having to do it. That's right. Embrace it. Learn to love it.
Did you hear what Paul and Lincoln reminded us? 28 losses in 4 years for the Auburn Tigers.
Well, kind of like what Brett Gardner, executive chef, Southern Ale House Dockside, who's been just going off, by the way, lately. It's kind of like what Braden and I reminded Barrett Sallee of. Those exact same numbers except for this year. And yes, that's where Embrace the Suck came from. Because we tried to make him, we let him know. We let Barrett know that day he was going to have to embrace the suck and the thumpkin. He rolled over. Good for Barrett.
He did.
I saw a lot of people not wanting to do that. I saw a lot of people upset Auburn, Albies, upset booger eaters everywhere. They just were mad or whatever. But you know what? There's nothing they could do about it. Embrace it. Because you're getting a thumpkin and a finger next year.
Fear the finger.
No, the thumpkin +1.
Well, I was kind of giving the finger.
You get to choose your finger.
Oh. I'd like to move over 2 instead of the index.
We just go right. There's one that tells them right where to go. You give them the thumpkin to let them know you're there, and then you give them the other one to let them know where they're going. Point them in the right direction.
So I want to hear your confidence. Yeah. And then we got to do the pharmacy at Midtown spot. And,
That's right. I know this. I know TJ has decided to go lubricant free on Thumpkin Week.
Oh, he has. Is he offering like a special discount? I mean,
no, he's not selling any to them.
Oh,
if you don't embrace the suck. No Diddy oil.
Yeah. You got to walk in and say, "Embrace the suck," and
That's right.
You can get the special.
That's right. Okay,
All
what
right.
do you want to talk about?
See, I want to ask you about your confidence. 0 to 10. 0 to 10, because you always have a good finger on the pulse. What do you think? 0 to 10?
And a thumb. Have a good thumb on the pulse.
Okay, but you can't take pulse with a thumb. Everybody knows that, don't you? Because it shows up your own pulse rather than checking somebody else.
Hey, that granny the other day sure thought I was checking her pulse.
Help!
That's what she said. That's what she said.
God forgive us.
Oh.
0 out of 10. 10 being very confident. 0. Where are you at?
I guess it all depends on Greg Sankey.
Has he been going to the pharmacy at Midtown? Does he have the?
Let me tell you. If we don't get in, the pharmacy at Midtown and an army of us are coming to him. And Big Richard's carrying our flagpole. Because, yeah, we ought to get in. I mean, come on, this is ridiculous. Look how many of these teams just refuse to play anyone. The catch to this is we were all told if we had to play in the SEC.
Did play Houston Christian.
I know. I mean, seriously. I mean, you look at the thing, it's ridiculous. There has to be a point made. And look, I get it. We were told if we were going to have to, if we'd have beat Oklahoma, we'd be playing this weekend, right? And then we were told if we played in that game and we lost, it would, at least that's what we thought. Actually, no one said that.
Yeah, no one said it, but we were all like, should we go? Should we go? Should we go?
That's right.
Yeah, should we go?
Right.
It's a great point.
Assumed it. We all assumed it. But the thing that is that the playoff committee the playoffs were set up for money, and we've earned our brand. But they've got a big decision to make, or conference championship games bigger than teams playing tough schedules throughout the year. And they have got to send a message to the Big 12 and the ACC, and frankly, the Big 10. They've got to play better teams.
You must. Yeah.
There's only one conference that's playing
elite
competition
we went
week in and week out, and everyone else is fraudulent.
We went to Wisconsin. Next year, we're
That's
going.
right.
I mean, not that Florida State. You need to, kind of improve a little bit, but we're going to Florida State. I mean, so we're not, anywhere, any date. You pick the spot. We'll go there.
Who is it? Clint? Who played Wake Forest this year? One of the SEC teams played at Wake this year. I'm trying to think who it is. And as soon as they got beat, Wake turned right around and bought that game out.
Oh, that's right. They did. That's right. I don't even.
That can't be allowed. I mean, and what I mean is that they have got to be forced to play outside of their conference if they know their conference.
Ole Miss. They bought,
Ole Miss.
I mean, could you imagine buying out Ole Miss? Oh,
I mean, I never even thought about that.
I mean, could you?
Who in the hell in the SEC would buy out a game against Ole Miss? I don't care who you are.
Yeah, Ole Miss.
But
Ole
Wake
Miss.
did.
Yeah.
Wake said, "Oh my God, did you see that team out there? Oh,
all right."
Stroke them a check.
The pharmacy.
I think, we ought to be good. We ought to be good. I think, like you said, Notre Dame, Alabama, Penn State, Alabama, whichever one it is, at night there.
Oh, yeah.
How does Notre Dame get a home game? Ridiculous. That's another program that's got to be held to a higher standard.
Well, but we don't. Listen. I gotta end right here with this.
I know.
But Notre Dame.
I've been saving up.
Out of all the commissioners, like Alabama's the king of college football. We are the king.
That's right.
Until somebody
as much as they hate it.
As much as yes. Okay. Notre Dame's athletic director gets a seat at the table with all these other commissioners. Let that sink in.
They're the most protected team. Ohio State is right there with them.
I mean, yeah, you got the Big Ten commissioner, the SEC commissioner, the ACC commissioner, the Big 12, And then the Notre Dame AD.
Notre Dame's got to make a decision. If I'm them, they got to go ahead and join the ACC. Just go ahead and join it.
And you know what?
Go ahead and, or you're left out. We're going to have to just say, or you're left out.
Yeah. Good point. Good point. The pharmacy.
How can you justify? They're going to have what, 2 weeks off?
3 weeks. But I mean, but they'd have the same as we.
No. I'm wrong. They can't be in the top 4 since they don't play an SEC game. Since they don't play a championship game. Okay, Pharmacy Midtown. What do you want to talk about?
The Pharmacy
We've already
Midtown,
told them
TJ
a no
Thomas.
lubricant week if you're wearing blue and orange and you go rolling in there and you need some Diddy. He's not giving you any Diddy. No Diddy oil.
And a discount if you say embrace the suck. SAUCK.
That's right.
SAUCK. Yeah.
That's right. Hey, what does the AU stand for?
That would be the Auburn Tigers.
That's right. I want to thank Paul for doing such a good job with that and continue to roll with it, my friend. Continue to roll with it.
At Midtown. Tony, be good.
Go see TJ. Look, let me tell you, he danced the jig Saturday night because he loves beating Auburn and all his fellow pharmacists in this town.
Oh, yeah, right.
He loves it. He loves it.
All right, we got to roll.
Join him. Thanks, Ron.
We got to roll. Tony in Tuscaloosa. Let's go to Jared in Dallas, Texas. Jared, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Man, how am I supposed to follow him? How do I get that lucky? Huh?
How would you like to be on this side of the mic? Our fingers, like we have cramps in our fingers because it's always on the dump button. We don't ever know when he's going to. But he's like Nick Saban. He goes to the gray area. He just doesn't live there.
Yeah. You remember the day that he and who's the guy? Anyway, the guy you let them run the show while you were on
I'm in the middle.
You remember that? So I called in that day. Ryan, and I called in and I said I don't even really have anything. I just wanted to call in for this event. I just wanted to be part of it.
Yeah, they were doing the Crimson Empire. Crimson Empire.
Yeah. And he had every guest that called in screaming and hanging the phone up when they were done with them.
He was telling everybody they were. I mean, I'll never forget Mike Griffith. Okay, that was my 25th anniversary. Okay, March the 9th. My wife and I took a little bit of vacation, and 25th anniversary, and I'm down on the beach. Okay. And I get a text message from Mike Griffith. Who in the blank is hosting your show?
He's the one that said it's this fanboy radio.
Yeah.
That was excellent. That was radio gold. It really was.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to happen more than once a year, but for once a year, it's absolute radio gold.
Yes.
It was good. Hey, so here's my comment / question. I am curious to get your opinion on this. If you have a game and it can't penalize you, then it can't reward you either, is my opinion. If the game can't penalize someone, well, then how can it reward someone? Because you're not going to get, it's a human nature. You're not going to get full effort from everybody if the game can't penalize anyone. You agree with that?
No, it is a great report.
That is my biggest problem with this whole thing this weekend. Is it's a bunch of baloney. You got one team who can be rewarded with an unbelievable reward, but then you want to say that the other one can't get penalized? That ain't how it works, man. That's not how life works. Sorry. That's just not how it works. And that's what we got going on. I mean, I think it's probably going to not make you happy, but I think on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm at a 5, man, because I still have visions of that punt returner from K-State when they had a chance to go up on TCU by a couple of scores and stretch that one out in that championship game, dropping that punt and letting TCU score and keep that thing close into overtime, which cost us from getting in. And I could just see some nonsense like that this weekend and putting us in jeopardy. And I agree with what everyone's saying about, the justification for us, but go Ponies. That's all I got to say, man. Just go Ponies. Go Ponies. I just think those lights are going to be too bright for them, man.
So you're there in Dallas. You're very close to SMU. What are they saying out there? I mean, do they hit SMU? Do they?
They are. The media immediately Wednesday morning. I almost sent you a couple of these articles. They had a bunch of people beating the drum about we're already in. We should already be in. Quoting Dabo, quoting a bunch of different people talking about them. They were really beating the drum heavily Monday morning. And then Tuesday night, after the following day, Wednesday, there was a little more trepidation in there. That, in fact, the video conference they had after the show on ESPN, they get to ask questions, and the guy that asked the question to what's his name, Ward, whatever his name is,
yeah, Ward
the guy
Manuel,
that asked
Michigan AD.
Okay. Yep, the guy that asked that question was actually a writer from the Dallas Morning News, and he's the one that asked it.
Kevin
Sherrington.
Yes. Yeah.
And yep, so he asked that question and got the answer that scared him to death. And the next day, he put an article in the paper that basically said, "We better win." Now, he's a homer, obviously, but the tone changed, and his article that day. I'm going to forward this right now. But that's what saying the next day was, there's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts here, but hey, SMU, you better just win. You don't want to go up against Bama and this whole thing, so just win. Yeah, so they're not, and they're small, Ryan. I know a few of them. They don't talk. They don't talk. You see a little bit of hats and shirts and sweatshirts here and there, but nothing. My daughter's roommate that she lives with here in Dallas, her little brother was a walk on there, and she actually went to the Georgia Tech game just to hang out. You'll like this. And so I texted her. I said, "What you think?" She goes, "Oh my God, this is a joke." 4 years with Bama, and she went in that stadium, and she said, "I was looking around like, going, really? This is all you guys got? With all the money you have down here?" Because the stadium is a high school stadium, basically. But no, they're quiet, Ryan. They're quiet, and I think now they're trying to just whistle by the graveyard. You know what I mean? So we'll see.
I mean, I just hope that we get that spot. But SMU, make it easy on us. Let us sleep Saturday evening. I mean, show up. What
do you think? You think they can win that game?
With Rhett Lashley talking? No. But I'm not accustomed to coaches saying, if we lose the game, that we deserve a spot. That's the part that would. And
have you watched them?
I have, yeah. Yeah, but I mean,
I watched the.
I was watching last night. I was watching SMU and Houston Christian. It was on YouTube. I was wanted to go back and see.
I watched the replay of the Cal game, a little bit of it the other night. It was on ESPN. I want to check it out. They're very fast. You got a lot of speed. But
remember, 85th ranked passing defense. Clemson's going to have success against that.
I know. Here's my only positive, and it was a negative for us, is Vegas. Vegas knows what they're doing, because last year if I was a betting man, I would have lost it all on that Rose Bowl. I didn't think there was any way Michigan could beat us. I just didn't. There's no way they can win that game, and Vegas was spot on. And they got the Ponies 2.5 point favorite right now. So anyways, hopefully they're right. Anyways, I just wanted to say that if it can't penalize, my thing was I wanted to say today was, if the game can't penalize, then it can't reward. So just be done with it. I think that's bogus.
Great reminder. Hey, Jared, appreciate you, man. Roll Tide.
See you. Bye.
Alabama Credit Union, alabamacu.com. Checking, savings, mortgage, home equity loan, financing a vehicle. It's Alabama Credit Union, alabamacu.com. Go see those great folks. I do both business, personal. They've got some great rates, whether you're financing a vehicle. It is Alabama Credit Union. And do you have timberland that you don't know what to do with? Give North River Timber Company a call. Call Courtney White and his team of over 20 years experience in West Alabama, East Mississippi. Offer timber harvesting, timber appraisals, comprehensive management plans as a registered forester in Alabama. Courtney and his team can help you decide how to maximize your highest potential for your land. Courtney says timber is like money in the bank. See what your investment can do for you. Contact Courtney White, 205-242-5127. That's 205-242-5127. Or North River Timber Company, co@gmail.com. North River Timber, co@gmail.com. The tranquility that timber can provide, walking around in your land, let your land work for you. And one of the great things about a timber appraisal, how valuable that is, we know what happens in the spring here in West Alabama. Unfortunately, you don't know where it's going to happen. You lose some of that. You don't have a current appraisal. How do you get your claim or your loss, or how you claim your deduction? You need one of those current timber appraisals. Let Courtney White do that for you. 205-242-5127. Sycamore Power Equipment, the number one dealer for Husqvarna products. As we approach the Christmas time, I don't know about you, but whether it's a chainsaw, whether it's a pole saw, whether it's a backpack blower, handheld blower, battery-operated tools, listen, dads love tools. Even though we don't use most of them, right? You use the weed eater, you use the backpack blower, the handheld blower. You can find it at Northport Power Equipment, Scott Commercial Mowers, Zero Turn. You can find those end of the season savings and also the end of the season maintenance. Bertha, she may not get you through the 2025 grass cutting season if you don't properly maintain and get her ready to go before the next year. And you do that by doing the end of the season maintenance and make sure that she is ready to go next spring when all the grass starts growing. It is Northport Power Equipment, Scat Commercial, Zero Turn Commercial Mowers, and residential backpack blowers, handheld blowers, battery-operated tools, Crest Outdoor Tools. Go see Bryant and Keith Ellis at Northport Power Equipment. Let's continue with more phone calls, and we go to Marty in Arkansas. Marty, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Hey, Ryan. How you doing tonight?
I'm good, Marty. I hope you are as well.
Yeah, I am. But, Ryan, that's the thing. That's just like Georgia. If they lose, they don't get punished. They should get punished for 3 losses. We can't help it. They have to play an extra game. I mean, if they lose, we should move above them. We beat them one-on-one. It don't matter. And another thing about the committee, they can't say the champions of the conference championship game to get one of the 4 spots. That rule's got to change next year. I mean, they just got to change that rule. That's one rule they got to change. There's another one too. But Ryan, I got a question to ask you, and it's about the basketball player that got injured. How long is he out?
Latrell Wrightso is out for the season. Blue Spring Living Water injury report. Latrell Wrightso is done for the season with Achilles injury. According to Nate Oates in the postgame, had surgery yesterday. That's a tough injury, man. That's tough.
Oh, yeah. Dang, that's a tough loss. I mean, I know we got depth, but hell, we'll still win the national championship. This team's too good, just like last night.
Look at Marty in Arkansas. Put a little pressure there, winning a national title.
Well, I've said it all along, Ryan. We're going to be the first school to win one back-to-back. But, Ryan, so if Barry Odom can't beat Boise and then Clemson wins, we get knocked out. Is that the scenario?
Say what now?
If Barry Odom can't beat Boise and Clemson wins, we get knocked out?
No, I don't think that is the possibility. I mean, I can't tell you what 13 members in Grapevine, Texas, of the college football selection committee is going to predict. I know. We've had multiple analysts on this week that believe that
Alabama, they said Alabama couldn't move up, Alabama couldn't move down. So you think we're stuck right at 11 no matter what's happened, if you go by their word, which you can't go by their word. But I think if Georgia loses, we should be above Georgia because we beat them and they got 3 losses. I don't care if they had to play an extra game. It's their own fault for the rule committee.
Now we're talking. So you say eliminate, okay.
I think Georgia should be knocked out. and let Ole Miss in because Ole Miss beat them head-to-head. They got 3 losses. Ole Miss has got 3 losses, and I'm not no hotty-toddy guy, but I just think, head-to-head, the extra game, well, you had to play it. Go win it. That's just like what the guy said. If there's no consequences, Kirby Stark, he knows he plays again, so why don't he just stick his third string in there and say, well, we lose the game, but we're still we're looking at the big picture. You know what I'm saying?
No, I do understand what you're saying, but I think when you look at it, to put it in the hands of the committee, I think to let you sleep a little better, SMU, if you beat Clemson, then you got to feel very, very comfortable.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, Ryan, I know you got other callers. I just wanted to my rant because that's been building up for the week. That's all. But, hey, we got a big game Saturday night. That team knocked off Kansas last night. They're coming into Tuscaloosa.
They do. Creighton, that beat number 1 team in the country, and we will have that December the 14th. Inside Coleman Coliseum. So a little bit of off time.
We're going to beat them, too. And, hey, I got in trouble this morning because I got on those Razorback fans about Calipari, how good he is. Yeah, he went to Illinois and got beat like a yard dog.
Let me tell you, you brought up Arkansas. Let me mention this right here. Bob Holt was a guy that is a legend in Arkansas media. Bob Holt was just an icon in the SEC, and definitely going to miss Bob Holt as a guy that passed away late last night who covers Arkansas. You gave me a chance there to talk about Bob Holt, and has been in the business forever. He was, their version of Cecil Hurt. When you look at, being around an athletic department as long as they did. So condolences and prayers go to that family and all those media out there, because I've been watching a lot of my friends from Arkansas, and everybody knew Bob Holt. It was an icon.
Everybody knew him, and that's just like the older guys one of the guys that wrote for when they used to have the Democrat and the Gazette, and he wrote for the Gazette. I can't think the guy's name right now, but he put Arkansas on the map in the 60s about writing them and how good they, he really put Arkansas on the map. But that's like the brand. The brand was, we got the brand, just like I say, you go look back at 1925 when we put the brand on the South and no one's taken it away from us since.
I got you. Hey, Marty, I got to run, man. I appreciate you.
Go Tide, Ron, and I'll try to yell at you tomorrow.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. We'll do SEC Parlay Pick Contest presented by Brian Hard Construction. I do remind you about thestandardbama.com, the home of the 20-inch pizza pie, pepperoni, meat lovers, cheese. Design your own. Thestandardbama.com. Thestandardbama.com, home of the 20-inch pizza pie. Thestandardbama.com. Carry out, full service restaurant available by DoorDash, thestandardbama.com. We'll come back. We're going to take more phone calls. Tommy and Romulus, we're going to get to you. Mary over in Atlanta. He committed to the University of Alabama back in the summer. He went out to the Elite 11. He won the whole thing. He was the MVP. He went to the Rivals 250 camp. He won that. He shot up the recruiting rankings and finished as the number 2 overall player. He's won back-to-back state championships for Duncanville High School. Duncanville is going to be playing another championship. Hopefully they get through this playoff. We're going to talk right now. Keelan Russell, welcome back to Tuscaloosa. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. Can't complain about nothing. Just ready to get out there to the Tide family. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Well, listen, man, I appreciate the IG Live yesterday. I hope I'm using the right terminology. I love that, man. You kind of took us behind the scenes. That was pretty awesome.
Of course. You know what I'm saying? Just going crazy, just doing everything, you know what I'm saying, that was possible, like signing the letter of intent, just doing that and just be able to get one more step closer to stepping on field down there in Bama.
All right. I want to ask you your relationship with Ryan Williams, because you brought a guy that you could be throwing to very, very soon on your IG and talk to me. What was that like? Because we were pretty excited to see that.
Man, me and Ryan, we have, a kind of crazy relationship. Like, every time I go down to Tuscaloosa, he's one of the first ones to text me and be like, hey, bro, where you at? Hey, dude, where you at? And, you could tell the type of relationship is only going, that's the type of relationship that's only going to get, better and better and better along the road. And, like, I feel like even though I haven't threw a ball to him yet, our chemistry is already there. So, in these next few years that I'm playing for Alabama, this is gonna be the duo for sure.
All right. Well, we're excited to be able to see that. What does it feel for you just to go ahead and get everything done? Because I know the recruiting process, I've never had a chance to go through what you guys go through, getting phone calls. But does it feel good that it's now over?
Yeah, it feels good, everything like that. But the phone call situation, people blowing your phone up, it kind of gets, a little bit overwhelmed. It's like, Jesus, you know what I'm saying? But, it's just the life of being, a star. And,
sure.
Yeah, it's just the life of being a star. That's all it is. And it's gonna keep getting better and better along the road.
Well, you're going to be playing for that Script A, man. I mean, the attention now, 5-star quarterback coming to Tuscaloosa. I mean, that Script A, it demands attention, right? I mean, you walk in, it demands it. Keelan, were you still hearing from schools in the final couple of days? I mean, I know you told us back in October that you had shut it down, but did that stop schools from still reaching out to you?
I mean, no, I haven't heard no schools actually. Kind of really, threw them out the roof. Really locked in when I knew that this day was coming. I really thought to myself, and I was like, "This is gonna be my home, and I don't want to entertain nothing else." And it's just like a girlfriend; you don't want to entertain them when you found the one. So, but yeah,
I like that. Good. So, what made you feel so comfortable with Kalen DeBoer and this offense?
Like I said last time, the development piece in the relationship was probably the biggest thing. We all know that Alabama is going to get you to a place in life, what I'm saying? Even off the field, it's going to get you to a, outstanding place in life that you're going to be set for life. And that was probably the biggest thing. Also, we all know that every quarterback that goes to Alabama is going to the NFL. They produce quarterbacks. So I just know that, especially what he did with Michael Penix last year, and what he's doing with Jalen Milroe, they're both going to the NFL, going to be, top rated, draft picks. And like me just putting my trust in them is just what I need to, that's all I need to do for them. They're going to make me a special kid. They're going to make me a special guy. And it's just me putting my trust into them and trusting them with all my heart for sure.
I want you to go through your stats because when you look at these stats, I mean, Keelan, they're hard to read. I mean, 2 interceptions and 52 touchdowns. I mean, is that fake news? I mean, is this 52 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions?
Nah, you know what I'm saying? I'm just balling. That's just what I do. Like I've been putting on the show since Elite 11, the summertime, just been putting on shows after shows after shows. And it's just like, why now stop, and that's what a lot of people don't see and understand. What I can do is it's about how I perform with pads or how I perform without pads, and I just showed the whole world what I can do with both of them on. I mean, with both of the factors a part of me. So, I mean, it's not really a debate who's doing it better than me. I'm not really one of the people to sit here and argue about that thing. But like when you look at my stats, it should break people's literally screen.
Oh, they do. I mean, they do. I read it and I'm going, is there a misprint here? Is there a misprint? Two interceptions with the competition you guys play out there in Texas?
Yep. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's just smart play. Like, quarterbacks got to know got to be a field general. That's all it is to it. Once you at that level, you just play with poise, play with confidence, and it's going to flow as long as there.
All right, I want to talk about this big high school football game because you've got another, you got a championships. I mean, you've already got you already own a jewelry store, but you're trying to add to that. Talk to me when you look at this upcoming playoff game. Bridgeland Bears. Don't know a lot about these guys. I believe they're out of Katy, Texas. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
All right. What do you expect here?
I expect very, like when teams play us, especially in the playoffs, they want, get a crack at us, even if they have their hopes down, by winning. They want to get us a crack. Like last week we played the Woodlands, and they tried to, hold the ball as long as possible just to, chew clock and just to make the score not as ran as we would have put it, 60 or 50 on the boys. But with this team, we're looking for a little bit more aggression. Their linebackers can tackle. They got some good dudes who can run fast. They got some people who can cover. And their front four is amazing. And we're just one of the teams that got to go out there and put on our dogfight and just do all the things that we've been taught this whole year, apply it to the field, and we're going to come out with a dub easily. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. I want to ask you, when you talk about starting, and I read an article, by the way, the Dallas Morning News had an article about you and went through, and there's a lot of things that jump out to me, but you also, I don't hear very many young men that is your age starting a charity to give back. Can you talk about that?
Yeah.
Because I think that is incredible to be able to start a charity and explain what you're doing.
Yeah. So, it's called CFL, Champions for Literacy. That's what it's short for, Champions for Literacy. So it's just a foundation where, we in an era where, we have a lot of technology that's ruining the world, with kids' minds, with AIs and everything. So we're trying to get as far away from that as possible and trying to get more resources, on-hand resources on deck, like books, calculators and stuff like that, pencils, paper, all of that type of resources to make these kids, get stuff down into their brain. And I feel like this is probably a key thing for me because I'm more of a hands-on type of guy. I'm going to get everything more sat in my head if I, do stuff on pencil and paper. Not trying to, throw the technology out the window because, hey, that is an amazing resource. But throughout these years, only the stuff is only going to get harder and harder for the kids. Us teachers and stuff are going to, only develop and get, the right mindset of, hey, I got to teach these kids the right thing. So I just want to, put back to the community and help them with that because I feel like that's a big thing in our new era of life and just to help these kids out, be able to get to their dreams even more faster.
Is that a dedication back to your mom that's been in the education system for a long time?
Yeah. So, both my parents are in the educational system.
Oh, they both are? Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, both my parents are in the educational system, so they was real blessed to be a part of this foundation. So, it's real fun looking at them and just be like, yeah, this is what I'm doing for y'all, So, but, yeah, it's a blessing for sure.
All right, final couple of minutes right here. Keelan, when will you be arriving in Tuscaloosa? I mean, obviously the championship game, but have you got a tentatively date? Because we know when that game will be. Will you be arriving here for bowl practice? Because you're early enrollee, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You've got a date?
So,
you thought about it?
Yeah, I'll be trying to be down there January 5th.
Okay.
I know I have an All-American game, Under Armour All-American game on the 2nd, so we're going to be departing from Orlando back to Dallas, and then we're going to pack up and leave that the very next day, which is the 5th.
Okay, super cool. So go through spring practice and be ready to compete here for this job.
Oh, yeah.
Have you already started studying some of the offense? I mean, have you already kind of?
Of course.
Okay. I like this. I mean, obviously you've built a great relationship with Kalen DeBoer, and he literally praised you during the press conference. He was asked about you, but he took that minute to say that you are one of those guys who helped hold this class together as the number 2 class in the country. That's a big praise for Coach DeBoer giving you.
Oh yeah.
Keelan, I want to say thanks. I want to wish you nothing but the best as Duncanville High School. 3 championships is what they're trying to do it in the biggest classification in the state of Texas. I can't wait to see you in Tuscaloosa. Are you going to wear that number 12 jersey? I mean,
I'm trying to.
Dylan's got it, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think so, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try my hardest though.
Well, that's
sure.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I can't wait. Can't wait to see you in Tuscaloosa. Best of luck to you. Go get a win on the high school field. Go get another championship, and we'll see you in Tuscaloosa very, very soon. Keelan, thank you again for your time, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. Keelan Russell, number 2 overall prospect, 5-star, says, you know what? I'm not just rolling with the Crimson Tide. I'm signed with the Crimson Tide, signed, sealed, and delivered. Hey, we've ended the show. Appreciate you guys. I remind you that we call this program The Game, and the only way that you can win the big game, the game of life, is to walk daily with our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. We'll do it again tomorrow on a Brian Hard Construction Friday. Talk to you then.
you for listening to